Bleh, I screwed up that opening. Okay, bad right out the gate. All right. I have to be the most self-deprecating YouTuber out there. And it's always funny when somebody new comes around to the show and it's like, this guy's audio sucks. This guy talks in a monotone. This guy is boring. It's like, cool. Cool. I'm okay with all those things. Anyway, your mom. How about that? All right. Why do comics love to show off they have never worked in any other industry? And in this instance, they mean clearly comedians, comics. But no, I think they mean creators. Anyway, it says, hey, Perch, I always wanted to work in comics full time. For X amount of reasons, it hasn't happened. That said, I have a long resume in different fields. The more and more I look at the business side of comics, well, I'll be blunt. A room full of brain dead, half rotted, stoned apes would make smarter moves. Hell, they would try something new after how many decades? Okay, maybe being a little harsh, but here's the fun part. I bet whoever listens is thinking about a different part of the business that is screwing up. Absolutely true. There's so much to choose from. The biggest fault of comics, and we'll get to it in another time as we talk about all the things that really need to improve and change. But the biggest flaw in many ways is this desire to not move on from thinking from like the 70s. And it's funny because the fans will say things like comics need to go back to how they were in the 70s. Well, some things, sure. But other things, like the whole problem is that they're not moving on from the 70s. The whole problem is that they're stuck doing a lot of the same plays that they may have been good once upon a time. Some never were, but but it's been like 60 years. Like change needs to occur. That's the wild part. There's so many areas in comics where the fans and the people complaining are in violent agreement with the people running the show. They just don't realize it, and that's it's wild. Anyway, we'll finish this mail. It says lack of communication to creators and customers, lack of growing market, and letting other markets dominate rather than not learning from them. Trying new technology to grow the market. Have the same practice since the crash of the market. Like this failed us once, why not keep repeating it? I feel like we are long overdue for a new shakeup and ideas. At this point, just some fire under some asses to get some movement. I get there isn't a lot of cash here, but I also feel there should be. Am I wrong? Is the basic question. Why do comics, being creators, love to show off they have never worked in any other industry? Take it easy. Yeah, you take it easy. No, again, the most frustrating part of comics to me is this desire, you hit upon it in the mail, this desire of saying, hey, this didn't work before. Let's just keep trying it until it works. And, as time goes on and there's changes to technology, I mean, here's the crazy part. Inside of comic books, one of the major parts of it that brought in a lot of money and brought in a lot of success and opportunity and grew this whole thing was the newsstand. And direct market came along. And when I say came along, it wasn't like that was necessarily a new idea. There was a tweak on a business model. In some ways, I was talking to a friend, and he was saying, really the last innovation that has happened in comics has been the move to the direct market or the opening of the direct market, I should say. People talk about the move from the newsstand to the direct market, but that really isn't true. What happened is the newsstand existed, and then comics opened up the direct market or specialty stores. This wasn't any kind of genius, amazing idea because you see that in lots of other industries. In music, you can have the big box retailers. This you're talking like Kmart back in the day, selling music, or Tower Records or Hastings or places like that. And then you'd have, unique record shops. Record shops would be, offered something a little different. They'd be offered different covers. They'd be offered, signings from the band. There'd just be a little bit of extra, try and make that specialty store relevant against the big box retailers, which are going to outprice the small guys. That was the whole mix. So comic books are like, yeah, we could do that. And that in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad idea. The bad idea comes in when that was the last idea. And the comics industry didn't say, "Hey, let's stop the newsstand and move to the direct market." They said, "Hey, let's open up the direct market," and then the newsstand proceeded to just stop. The money wasn't there. The headache of returnability was a pain. It was bad for that was a pain in the ass for everyone. There's a lot of frankly, and this is another video for another time. there were a lot of like kind of backroom deals going on with, in this case, Diamond and some of the comic retailers like Mile High and others who were trying to incent, basically saying, "Hey, let's double down on this direct market and and encourage the collapse of comics of the newsstand." A lot of people don't realize that there were voices, there were people who kind of are still clunking around today, who worked fairly reasonably hard with Jeppy and with Diamond to actually start to shutter the newsstand, to make it less attractive, to make the returnability painful, knowing full well that big box stores do not like a lot of friction in their business, and thus, would eventually just say, you know what, this isn't worth it, fuck it. And there was a decent amount of gravity from all the wrong people in comics to double down on the newsstand. But when the newsstand kind of disintegrated, comics didn't have a plan for that. That wasn't they were riding high on what was a false bubble of the direct market and things that were going on in the 90s and the collector's market and all the rest of that kind of stuff that really were not healthy and were not sustainable. But a bunch of dumb assholes who didn't have any business sense, encouraged it. And then we got what we got now. But since that time, there really hasn't been any difference. And the fact that the newsstand went away through kind of some scheming but no real plan means there really hasn't been a conscious business decision in forever in comics. And, to your point, there's not a lot of money in comics, but there should be. You're damn right, there should be a lot. You've got a product that's supported by a multi-billion-dollar entertainment industry and giant industries that are out there who have a vested interest in making sure that Superman and Batman and Spider-Man and all these other guys are massive successes. So comic books should be much bigger. If you think about it, Marvel, DC, these companies, if you think about it from the lens of the comic books are marketing for the bigger, bolder, multi-billion-dollar entertainment vehicles that they have, and rides and IP and T-shirts and posters and all that. Well, nobody buys posters anymore, but you catch my drift. The point here is the big corporations that own these comics, they have every incentive to make them bigger, not smaller. And marketing spend for big properties. I mean, has anybody ever looked at the marketing spin for Captain America, whatever the new one that's coming out soon, the Captain America 4 or 5? What are we on? Brave New World, New World Order? What are we on? Anyway, the marketing spin for that, and compare it against what the comic books actually make. So spending the marketing, at the very least, how much did Disney spend on marketing the Captain America movie versus how much did Disney spend keeping Marvel Comics operating? I have a feeling that number is I don't just have a feeling. I have a decent sense, let's say, that the number is higher for the movies. Marvel Entertainment will spend more money on just pure marketing to kind of promote those films than they will keeping their comic business alive. And their comic business, if done well, would be amazing marketing. Marketing that pays off for generations. It's a subscription service. All big companies want SaaS if they're in tech, or subscription services if they're not. So all this stuff, you ever heard the expression in business, you have headwinds and you have tailwinds. Comic books have tailwinds. They've got giant corporations supporting them, especially the big two. For the indies, you've got, you can drift off of these guys. For creators, you can make your name on this kind of stuff and then go off and do something that you own and make a lot more money off of it. The incentive is there. The dollars to run a comic business is a lot cheaper than a lot of other marketing and things that are going on. And so all of these things indicate that comics should be a home run for companies. And the fact that they screw it up is actually amazing if you think about it. Comic books should not be stumbling along like this. There's no reason for it. But a lot of it comes down to, it's let's keep trying the same things that keep failing. But in addition to that, like, let's not try anything. Like, ideas are bad, apparently. That's the crazy part of all this, is there are not a lot of new ideas in comics. And for whatever reason, the leaders and the people running it are just, they're not motivated. to change. In fact, if anything, it's like don't change. Only bad things could happen if we try something new, which is a wild way to think after, so many decades of not doing anything new. And I mean, if you're in any business, you can't keep running the business the same way you've been running it for like 50, 60, 70 years. You do have to adapt to the times. Well, now comic books are living in a world where, the old place newsstand used to be has changed. There's still plenty of places you can sell those comics. The movies are there supporting them more than ever. The digital world means you could distribute, electronic copies faster, instantaneously. Like there's a lot of other pieces in here you should be adapting to. In fact, they don't. It is crazy. Anyway, what do the rest of you think? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you will. And thanks for listening.